All right, so this is an image that was posted recently on the, well, as you can see, it's on the Escher Girls blog. Um, and I thought maybe I'd do a bit of a critique. It's not a professional critique or anything. I mean, I don't get paid for my art, so I'm not I'm not a professional. Um, I'm more of a hobbyist than anything else. And so anyway, I thought I think people can really learn from video critiques, um, more than from just a draw over. So anyway, I don't want to just kind of have this into some giant witch torch burning pitchfork and torch thing. Let's just see, how this thing could have been approached differently, and what could have been better. I mean, it's very well rendered. It's that part I have no problems with. But there's a lot of draftsmanship issues, and by draftsmanship, poor drawing, anatomical issues. The problem in this case is not just anatomy. Like, there's a branch of anatomy called kinesiology. This is the branch of anatomy that deals with physical movement, limits of joint rotations, how far you can do things, how the body moves. It's like sports medicine. And one of the problems that happens with a lot of these poses is what's known infamously as is the boobs and butt pose. It's where you try to show the boobs at 45-degree angle, and you try to show the butt at kind of this 45. You want to show boob cleavage and butt cleavage in the same image. And at first, it looks like you can do this, but the moment we break this down, you'll realize that it's impossible for it to happen, and that's why that's probably why the Escher Girls blog is called Escher Girls, because it's like an MC Escher illusion where it looks possible, but then it kind of, once you kind of break it down, you realize that it's not. So, maybe this, like, okay, so if we just take the torso and divide this up into planes, all right, then we have the side plane. I'll just mark it as A. We've got the frontal plane, which I'll mark as B. Okay, but you see, I can see that's where the A plane and the B plane are going. But if we look at, say, the legs, right, this highlight is pretty much marking off a plane for us right there. All right, and this is the back plane. This is the C plane right here. Right, this is the back plane, and now C is going into A, whereas really C should be kind of hidden in the back there. So you see what I mean? It's like now this back plane here for where the butt cleavage is leading into the side plane, and so that doesn't work out. Okay, so we can try to make this work, right? By taking I don't know. We can take this B plane here. Maybe we can kind of bend it around. Maybe that is what the artist was intending to do. But you see, it's like at some point, you start to realize, well, okay, that's the side plane. Okay, so maybe this is what's happening, right? So that's the A plane, which is going, okay, so there's the side plane, and so B is like twisting around there, and C is coming, back and around. All right, so maybe that's what they've tried to do. Right? And, well, for one thing, you can really clearly see from the highlight and the way the lighting is, this is what has happened, So, I mean, we can try to kind of, smooth it around, right? We can try to smooth it, but you just, the more that I work with this, the more that I realize it's just, it really, like, it's not something you can do easily. I think what happens is, when artists try to take this pose themselves, what's happening is the elbow, like, not the elbows, the shoulders can be that far back, right? I mean, yeah, you can make that twist, right? That shoulder will probably come that far back. But the thing about shoulders is that shoulders are mobile, right? So we can do something as far as, taking the head here. We can put the shoulders, maybe here. And we'll probably be seeing the chest or torso more in a side profile, like so. And then we can probably begin to carry this around right? But it's just, you see how kind of uncomfortable this is all starting to begin to feel, right? And it's just, there's a lot of really kind of severe twisting going on. Even then, it's like, even with all that, it's like I still want to move the shoulders about that far. And I don't want to pull them back that far to the point where we can see both both boobs and both butt cheeks. Actually, in this case here, I got to make it so it's more the 3/4 angle. But you see, it's just, the reason I'm having such a hard time drawing this is because it's just not really a possible pose, right? This is kind of more possible because we're seeing, we're seeing the boob in profile, yeah, but and not in 3/4. Actually, here, let me move that down a bit, right? But it's just, it's a very extreme pose, and not really something that looks relaxed, right? And so even if I were to have an extreme pose like that where I twist the body, here, let me see if I can, let's just draw the shoulders only, and maybe I'll draw there. Actually, I'm trying to think, how far will I crank that shoulder back, right? So, I mean, I can crank it maybe this far back. And maybe I'm going to try and smooth that out, right? Let's smooth it out. All right. And then I can, so yeah, you got to make a choice. Are you going to show boob cleavage or are you going to show butt cleavage? Take your pick. Don't try to show both or you get an extra girls. Okay. Now this is a little more plausible. It's still pretty extreme, right? But it's plausible, and we want plausible, not impossible. Okay. And now at this point, I can take the arm and I can, right? Let's bring that forward, right? So we can draw the arm like that, or I can draw the arm out. Right? A lot of when you're doing these poses, when you're figuring out your pose and you're in your rough drawing, this is your opportunity to experiment. Your experiment to find the best solution. You got to be asking questions. You got to be trying out different things. Don't settle into cleaning things up so quickly, or you won't have found that best choice, right? And so even if I do this, right now I can take the other hand and I can also bring that around. So there's just a lot of kind of experimentation. You can try things different ways, and don't just like jump on this one pose. Okay, let's see what else is kind of wrong, or just seems a little strange or off. It's like we've got the shoulder here, okay, but in order for that entire arm to be hidden, the way it is on this one, we can put the arm over here, right? But even then, that doesn't, is that the best pose we could have gone with? It seems kind of a very meh pose, right? Nothing's really, she's not doing anything. She's kind of looking at us and her arm's there, but it's not really, it's like the artist could have done this, right? The artist could have put the, they could have put the hand on hip, right? Hand on hip. Hand on hip. Classic pose. Okay, but maybe felt, oh, everyone's done the classic pose, and so, I can't. I don't want to do the classic pose. I don't want to do this cliche. So instead of doing cliche, I'll do meh. Right? So I don't know if meh is really better than cliche. Sometimes in some ways cliche is better. That doesn't result in this kind of half-on, half-off stuff. What else could we have done? Instead of just, going with cliche and meh. Well, we've got, okay, well, here we go, all right? Now, if you're trying to show someone sexy, all right, then go straight for the, you can go for the fasteners, okay? Go for the fasteners. We got a fastener down there. We can put a fastener up top, right? And fine, you want to go sexy? Fine, go for the fasteners. And that means that you do this, okay? Pull the fastener to the side, you put the hand here, and there, okay? We can do that, all right? Tons of sexiness, all right? Lots and lots of sexy in there, and you can do that. We can drape it, or if you really want to, kind of go all the way, and maybe what I'll do is, you can have it, limp, or you can have it, taut. And taut means you can take the hand and pull it like that, And in this case, right, the elbow can either go out like this, and that seems kind of ganky, dangly, not so awkward, right? Or you can move the elbow in the other way, right? So you always consider your options, right? You can go option A or option B, and this is option B. And I kind of like option B a little bit more. It's a little more, it's a little more relaxed, a little less gangly. All right, you can do that. That's option B. What else can we do differently, right? I mean, like, here's the thing. I'm going to say straight away, the artist is definitely drawing a sexy pose because, I mean, she's standing around in her underwear and she has shoes on. Okay, she's got her high heels on. The moment you put the shoes on, okay, and there's the thing. When you dress yourself and you leave the house, the last thing you put on, aside from maybe your jacket and maybe your hat and your cane and your monocle, your shoes, right? I mean, you put your shoes on after you put on your pants and your socks. So the thing is, the fact that there are shoes here says that she's done dressing her bottom. Unless you got those tearaway pants. But, shoes are the last thing that goes on. So obviously, she's done dressing because she's got her shoes on. And plus, she's got something to stick $5, your dollar bills in. She's got that thing. Great. Okay. So, as long as you're doing that, okay, you don't go for half measures. You go all the way. You're not going to just kind of try and make her look dignified in this case. I don't know. I mean, you can try and go for the unapproachable ice queen, but at this point, you're messing around with mixed messages, and you might as well just, stop going with meh and just send a clear message. Okay, so what can we do? The first thing is that boobs and butt pose. That we need to fix, and maybe not fix. Maybe the thing is, let's explore different possibilities aside from the boobs and butt pose. Other poses and body language can be sexy without having to always show off the goods, always saying, here are my boobs, here's my butt. There's more to sexy poses than just that. All right, well, let's bring the opacity on that layer back, because I'm just going to be drawing freeform. I don't want to draw over top of this because the pose is broken to the point where I can't really fix it. All right, so fine. We want to show some boob cleavage. All right, fine. We show some boob cleavage. Great. And at this point, before I even deal with the legs, okay, fine. You want to deal with the legs? We'll deal with the legs. All right. We can put. We can do this, right? So maybe. Or maybe what I can do is I can give her something to lean against, right? Don't draw her in a vacuum. I like. Okay, so we can put her up against the wall, right? And maybe only her butt's against the wall, right? So if we do that, right? I'm going to redraw this each time you redraw. Or if you want, you can. My other favorite kind of drawing tool is this eraser, this knockback eraser, which I just use to go. Knock the whole thing back, right? So you don't completely destroy it, still there, right? Now we can do a bunch of things. We can squish the butt, right? We can squish it up against the wall, and then, all right. Now I'm not trying to say what's right, what's wrong, blah blah blah. What kind of message are we giving to today's youth? That's not the purpose of this lesson. And this is for comic book artists who are working for clients who demand this kind of stuff. That is just, it's par for the course. You got to make your living. I understand, so I'm not going to judge you. All right, so we can do that. We can squish the boob, squish the butt right up against the wall. And in so doing, I've also brought this down. What I do not do, okay. I'm not saying it's wrong. But generally speaking, it makes it a lot easier if you bring the torso down. If you leave the torso up, then, you know, if you're trying to leave the torso upright, then, you know, you wind up doing these kind of ridiculous poses. And if you're working for Spumco, you know, you're doing Ren and Stimpy drawings, go for it. You can do it, all right? It's stylized, you know, you can do that, all right? But if you're drawing realistic like this, you're treading in dangerous territory. It might not work out so well. I don't know. If you can pull it off, great. More power to you. So, you squish the butt up against that wall. And maybe in this case, I'm going to move one hip joint high, move the other hip joint low. Right? Because the thing is, this butt cheek, right? We've got a straight leg here. This is the supporting leg, and so when we have the supporting leg, the weight is going up that way. All right. This is not. This is part of the kinesiology lesson. I have a feeling that a lot of comic book artists would do much better, you know, if they took some animation lessons. Part of animation is not just about how to make things move, it's understanding the mechanics of movement. Okay? So yes, that is what will happen. You know, it's understanding what goes up, what goes down, understanding about weight and exertion. You know, and it will make your pose look a lot more sexy, or at the very least, it will make it look more convincing. And so part of a lot of these poses, you know, I'm sorry to say you don't find them very often in real life unless you really found that special someone, okay? Most of this stuff only happens in movies and comics and whatnot. I'm going to say that right out. And so, yes, it's all fantasy, blah, 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 but you still got to make it so that people suspend their disbelief. You got to work with the audience here. You got to make it so that people will believe that whatever you're showing them is, you know, really happening, and so you got to conform to certain rules, you know, and one of these is the rules of kinesiology, right? It's just like airplane designers have to deal with gravity and they have to deal with aerodynamics. It's par for the course. It makes your work better, and people won't ridicule you as much. Because I love drawing pin-up drawings. Yeah, I know I'll never meet a girl like that. That's fine. You know, I accept that. But, you know, that's the thing. What is on the canvas is a separate reality from what really is reality. Right? I mean, I draw because, you know, so I can see the reality I wish I could see. But, you know, I do what I want on paper, and the rest of the world does whatever it wants outside of paper. That's all fine and good. Okay. All right? So I can... Actually, in this case, you know, I can bring the head back, right? You know, I'm carrying through with that. Right? There's different kinds of head tilts that we can use. Maybe I can, let's carry the spine up, right? And maybe you can dip her head down, right? So all of these, you know, are just possibilities. They're all possibilities that you can go with for trying to get a dynamic pose. Dynamic pose does not mean I've got an arm that's coming into outer, you know, coming in there, and there's like fingers, roar, you know, like that, and like arms and legs going all crazy, and you know the person becomes like all crazy, like, you know, and they've got, you know, their arms and legs, and that is not a dynamic pose. You know, in the end, you know, all your people wind up looking like cactuar. Okay, so just no, all right? That's not, cactuar is not a dynamic pose. Dynamic poses means there's, you know, there's some dynamics. There's things that are, there's physics going on. Something is changing something. There are things going on. There's big differences going on, yes, but, you know, keep the physics going. Keep the kinesiology working. You know, and it will make your drawing seem more dynamic. All right? What other things can we do for the pinup drawing? You know, things we can do, like, Let's talk about that missing arm, all right? I know how a lot of people, and I used to have this problem where I didn't know what to do with arms, didn't know what to do with hands. Fine. If she has hair, if she has clothing, if she has an object, you know, whatever it is, a sword, give her something, all right? If she doesn't have anything, then she just has herself. So this means that if she has, you know, fine, boobs, great, yes, whatever, fine. Then put, right? Look at my boobs here, okay? I'll even rest a hand on it, all right? Guys will go crazy over that. You know, hair, right? Everybody wants to touch a girl's hair. Fucking creepy bastards. Fine, do that, all right? But the thing is, don't just make the arm disappear and go, eh, all right? If you're going to do it, fine. You know, I don't love these half measures, okay? Other things we can do. Is that a crown? Does she have a crown on? Okay, fine. Fine. She got a little tiara, all right? You know, let's make that little tiara visible, okay? Fine. So we can have her, you know, adjusting, or, you know, fine. She's adjusting her tiara, fine, right? That's all fine and good. And what's nice is that it also gives us an excuse for this kind of whole there, right? Now we have this little bit of framework going, a little bit of a negative space. Our eye tends to get sucked into these little negative spaces, which is great because finally we can draw our eyes away from, you know, A and B, or rather T and A. You know, so I mean, it's not always about showing the goods. It's about creating compositions, and this here is like a small composition right here, meaning when I zoom at it, this becomes a complete picture in of itself, right? It's a mini composition. Okay, so the arms are always about framing. You know, you can use the arms as these wonderful framing tools. You know, and it's another thing you can think of what to do with the arms, right? If she has clothing, she's got, you know, fine, she's got her bra, right? Then we can hook. All right, there. So we can pull on that bra strap. Yay, okay? More fan service. This is a fan service drawing, okay? I'm just going with it. All right, so things you can do with the arms. If you don't know what to do, if she's got clothing, play with the clothing. If she's got, you know, is she wearing rings? Fine, she's wearing rings, right? I mean, so again, you can have that hand coming up, and she can have her rings on, right? And maybe, fine, we can take, you know, the other hand and pinch, you know, one of the rings. Maybe she's rolling one of the rings. All right, that's fine, okay? You know, I understand. Or, you know, if as long as we're doing this, why don't we just here, okay? There. We'll have a ring right here, okay? She's putting the ring on. We put one finger there, we put the thumb there. Okay? Subliminal messages, people. Subliminal messages. So, okay? Things we can do. All right? All about body language. No, I'm not going to go about what messages we should be showing with our kids. Blah, blah. Just go away, PTA people. These are tools for artists, okay? And I'm going to be showing people, you know, some of my later videos I'd like to talk about body language. This is one of the things that I'm sure many people, many artists want to know. If they want to draw it in private, in their bedrooms or whatever, that's fine, all right? All right, what other things can I look at? You know, it's like things like earrings, right? I mean, she can be. I don't know. It's like, you know, even if she doesn't have earrings, we can. Right? You can still have that hand up there, right? Just the hair. Okay, that's not bad, right? That works. Give her a monocle. Yes, jolly good old chap, jolly good. Okay, so yes. Okay, these are other things that we can do. All right, fine. She got glasses on. Great, adjust the glasses. Okay, I'm just trying to say this is more. If anything, this kind of video has been really focusing on what to do with those arms because I just right. So things you can do. Right, you want to give her a sword. You want to give her like a giant, like I don't know, AK-47. Fine, let's do that. Right, give her something. Give her something to hold. Okay. So at least, we now get away from the whole, I don't know what to do with the arms thing anymore. Figure something out. All right, and do this in this sketch. Don't be in such a hurry to go, I want to render, I want to render, I want to render, because then when I render, it looks all pretty and finished, and it looks so much better. But, the problem is the underlying structure. All right. Oh, God, these heels. I mean, if I just look at that, it's just, I'm going to reconstruct this, without the heel, without the actual shoe in there. And you'll just see kind of, right? The moment I try to construct this, I guess that's where the thing goes right there. And then that just kind of goes straight down. And, her toes, right? It's like, this is a very uncomfortable shoe. Yeah, it's a very, very uncomfortable shoe, a very uncomfortable pose to have your feet in. I don't know, like the foot just looks kind of stretched, and like that ankle looks like it's going to give out at any point. So, what could what could have been done differently? First of all, okay, let's try and reposition the foot in a way that is not so ankle breaking. Okay, so yeah, all right, so the foot not as long, all right. You want to get that heel height, then what you got to do is you have to add platforms. That's right. So we can add platforms. Okay, that is how you get the really long heels, is with the platforms. All right, don't try to stretch the foot out like chewing gum. Same here. Okay, that foot could have ended here. All right, but then the platform takes care of the rest of the height. Okay, not chewing gum feet. What else? I mean, yeah, the boobs and butt pose really. I mean, it means that, either the bottom's fine or the top's fine, right? If we go with the bottom being fine, then fine. You can find out where that shoulder is. Okay, because the thing is, she's saying, right, either look at my boobs or look at my butt. It's, if you're gonna, you got to pick one or the other. People are gonna see, I see boobs, I see butt, I can't decide. Just then, help them out. All right, people who love this kind of artwork. I love this artwork too. We're, once the blood goes down there, we can't think of a whole lot. So just, don't confuse us so much, man. Give us a hand here. Like, there's not enough blood to work the brain, so, I mean, just because we don't have blood in our brains while we're staring at this stuff means that while you're drawing, you gotta have blood in yours, okay? Just there. Okay, you can do that. There. Right? And okay, fine. All right, fine. Too racy? All right, too racy. All right, okay. I know the PTA, the censors are coming after me. I'll just, fine. She's just putting on her stockings, okay? She's putting on her stockings. We can have her, there. Let's pull that up. All right? So these are things that you can do. And now it's even better because, it's a little more purposeful, right? She's pulling up the stocking. She's getting herself dressed. And maybe in this case, right, we don't have to show the foot in the heel. We can put the heel over here, right? We can show that the heel is sitting over here, right? And then, with a platform, great. And then have maybe another one is sitting kind of on its side, right? So she's getting, I don't know, she's getting dressed to go to work. She's a working girl. Come on. So we can have them, on the side and there. So and then in this case, she doesn't even have to look at us, right? And the other one, yeah, okay, fine. She's staring at us. Look at me. Would you like to fuck me? You have to see this video called Twat of the Walk on Newgrounds. It's freaking incredible. Okay, so right, and so doing that, now she can be concentrating, right? She's concentrating on. Okay, so these are things that would have made the pose work better. Well, that's one thing, right? So either the top goes down, or we do something else. Maybe. What else can we do in terms of standing poses? If we keep that bottom half. Right. Right? So I'm going to keep that going there, but let's time I'm going to take that shoulder, let's flip that around. All right? I mean, as long as you want to be direct, not send no mixed messages, you want to draw your fodder, that's fine. Let's give her, I don't know. Give her some, I don't know, some tabletop or something to brace herself against. Okay? You might want to give her a stick to bite on while you're at it. Okay, so all right, now let's look at option B. What do we do if, we're going to keep the top half? Well, first thing I want to do is I want to draw, maybe the nearby leg. Maybe I can just keep it like that, or maybe I can slightly reverse the other leg, right? Like, if you want to show a bit of, just a little bit, like, just don't show, like, bang on straight cleavage. It's just, it can't be done. A lot of good drawing comes from what you suggest rather than from what you show. And maybe in this case, with the whole hands and whatnot. We can draw like a teddy bear. The luckiest teddy bear in the whole damn world. Oh, let's just, whatever. Okay? So, I mean, these are other things you can do. All right? Be creative. All right? If you're going to draw these kinds of images, then you'd better be creative. All right? And just, you know, not everything needs to be shown. You don't always need to show all the boobs, show all the butt. Subtlety is a really important tool to use. You know, and even then, clothing-wise, you know, it's like I had a lot of these other little tutorials where I talk about clothing and I say how much clothing accentuates the silhouette. So I mean, don't ignore that. You know, just it doesn't always have to be a swimsuit. It doesn't always have to be, you know, lingerie. Sometimes less is more. And you know, besides that, you know, I mean, as long as a person has clothing, the clothing can be taken off. So, you know, if you want, you know, then you can draw her. Here, let's put like, I don't know, kind of like a hoodie or like a sweater, right? Like a let's like really big billowing kind of sleeves, and fine, you know, have a zipper on it, right? This is the girl you'll never meet. You'll never meet her, right? So that's why we have to draw her, because you'll never find this person in real life. Well, not without a credit card. Right, I'm trying not to do the boobs and butt pose, but, you know. It's really hard because it's like when I do an underdrawing, it's like, man, I really had to like knock that thing back, or it's like I'm going to wind up replicating the same mistakes. Actually, let's go with that other, you know, like, see, it's like if you want the people to look at something, right, it's like we've got these long legs, right? So the thing is just, if you try to show boobs, boob cleavage, butt cleavage, and long legs, people won't know where to look. You're just trying to show too much at once. So if it's about the boob cleavage, fine. You know, then you don't have to show the butt cleavage, right? That's not, you're just distracting from the boob cleavage at that point. Or maybe, you know, I can put her, you know, in and I'm just, you know, I'm just, you'll notice I'm in this constant state of experimentation, right? Because I'm not decided. It takes me several drawings before I decide that's the one, right? And the thing is that there's just so many good workable alternatives that are available to me that, you know, there's often, you know, three right solutions, you know. And I tend to like kneeling and sitting poses because there's more, you know, ground and tabletop surfaces and other things to you know, to work with, right? So we can put her on, you know, give her a stool to sit on, or I don't know, something where, you know, she can put her legs up on, right? There's more physics going on. There's more, you know, contact and weight and stuff that we can really work with. And, you know, I feel that this just makes for, you know, more believable pose. There's more interaction going on. You know, the more things that she's in contact with, the more tabletop she's in contact with, the more bed, you know, she's in contact with, or floor, or clothing, or props. You know, the one of the first things that a person does after they've had a near brush with death, okay, is they they run their hands over their torso and they're like, oh my god, I'm still here, you know. I can still feel myself, you know, like I still feel things, right? I'm not a ghost, right? I'm not passing through shit. That's the, you know, that is one of those things that makes something feel alive and real and still in existence, is this feeling of contact. And so drawing things on a blank white background with no ground, no tabletop, no furniture, no clothing, no props, no nothing, it doesn't help the feeling of realism. You're missing out on so much interaction. My god, that's a 40-minute video. Okay, I've talked way too much about a rather frivolous and ridiculous drawing. Anyway, I'm probably going to face some flack over this. You know, like, I'm seriously, like, you can completely disregard me and ignore me, all right? I'm not a professional. I'm going to say once more, these are all simply personal opinions. You know, I won't even call it advice, all right? It's just things to think about, all right? That's all.